Hey everybody, going to be trying to post a little bit more frequently, but today I think I'm going to try and get through hopefully about four to post, so get some content out there. I'm going to dive right in and actually speak to a video request from a long time ago. Like I said, I do keep track of them, so this one is from Inevitable Success. So thank you for putting that forward. This one is on INTJs dealing with breakups. Again, I always read when the relationship is over. So I found this interesting. It's a good one because most of us, if we've been in a relationship at some point, will inevitably get to a point where it's going to end, and how we deal with that. So what key things kind of came to me, a big piece is where you're at as an INTJ, and I'm speaking from obviously the female perspective, so I'd like to hear guys' sides too if there's any of your thoughts. That where you are in your growth as an INTJ. So because we're dealing with inferior feeling and emotions, it's not our strong suit. So when we get in a situation where we are breaking up with someone, we are basically the equivalent of writing with our with the wrong hand and trying to make sense of things. So especially to wanting to make sense of things with something that is emotional and messy like humans are, just adds to the fun of it. But so from my perspective, I've gone both sides. I've had breakups in my past where it has been messy and trying to make sense of it, and I was hurt. It's interesting to hear how some people can just, walk away and shut down. We do shut down in to the outside world, but for myself on the inner side, that's where I constantly was analyzing everything that happened, and it actually really delayed the opportunity to become healthier and move on instead of dwelling on what had happened. So I find as I've gotten older, you're still hurting, but when you're making sense of things, you're not internalizing that it was something that was done because of what you were or what you have done or didn't do. You realize that it's more that it just wasn't something that was supposed to work. It was a part of your life, and you can respect it and take the learnings and apply them if you want, but you're not internalizing. You're using your strengths, which is your intuition, which means, okay, this wasn't working. And then also you are removing from that that emotion side. So another piece that I wanted to mention about that is I found it's also who is doing the ending. So, I mean, this goes without saying for most people, but I find for myself, especially if I've already been in the process of feeling that it's over, I would have been analyzing and making sense of everything months ahead. And therefore, when the inevitable time happens that you have to part ways, you've already made your mind up. You've already thought of all these things. But if it's coming from someone else and it's maybe left of center, or if the other individual did something to you, like was unfaithful or that type of thing, when you're struck by something that is out of left field, you are scrambling to understand what just happened. So again, we take a little bit longer to make sense of things. So getting shocked by something that is catastrophic enough that you have to end a relationship, that can really leave anyone reeling. But for us, I feel that it really can play a number. So what I find is, if that is the case, that you are not the one that is ending it, and or you have to end it because of something that is not jiving with your morals in the relationship, therefore you have to end it, but not because of something that you came to a conclusion about. That is really a big part of where, again, that healthy, where you are in the spectrum of the emotional understanding and where you are with navigating because of your strength in understanding your emotions or their potentially lack thereof. Another thing that's huge, at least for me, was the also the component of self-worth. I, for myself, had extreme issues with self-worth problems, and from that, I ended up being in relationships that mirrored that. And if you're into the whole law of attraction and that type of thing, that kind of plays into that. But it wasn't until I got to understand my own self-worth for good and for bad, and just knowing who I am, that was critical in how I was able to process and move on after a relationship. So again, not having to internalize, it wasn't something that was I'm bad, there's something innately wrong with me, no one will love me. It's more that I'm solid in who I am. If this didn't work out, it's just not meant to be. And if something else comes along, then I will look at it. And if not, it's not the end of the world, because you are happy with yourself, self-worth. So I hope that helps. I was just going to sign off on this one also by making a point about how when dealing with breakups, I find that the self-worth is also key in helping me avoid the on-again, off-again situation. Because I found for myself, because I could analyze things so much, I could almost start analyzing and therefore justifying whether it's worth going back with that person or not. And usually that was happening with people that, relationships that were very much more on the toxic side of things. And again, it keeps you in that spiral of lower self-worth and doubting yourself. And I mean, I don't know how many people out there like on-again, off-again relationships, but I find that I'd rather have something stable, solid, and know that I can trust that person. So again, thank you for that video request, and I will hopefully post some more. Again, any other video requests, please put it at the beginning of any comments, so then I can make sure that I find it quickly and make note of it. Thanks so much.